one-year-old is safe after a kidnapping alerted residents in Eugene. The case involving a former police officer has concluded after 2 apparent murders and a high-speed chase.
University of Oregon's spring game is tomorrow, giving fans a sneak peek at next year's football game, marking one of the largest community events of the year.
Eugene and the University of Oregon is home to nearly 20,000 ducks, but one of them is starting to garner more attention, and his name is Quacktavius. Hello and welcome to Oregon News. We're your hosts, Joe LaLiberte.
And I'm Caleb McLeod.
And we're all wishing you a good day. How are you doing today, Caleb?
I'm doing good, Joe. How are you doing?
Fantastic. Thanks for asking. I'm excited to get into the show today, as there's plenty of news that the people of Eugene need to know about. April marks a very important month for sexual assault survivors and awareness surrounding the topic. Monica Hobbs has more from Take Back the Night.
April marks the 23rd anniversary of Sexual Assault Awareness Month. The University of Oregon hosted its annual Take Back the Night on Thursday. Put on by the Women's Center, the protest aimed to spread awareness on the realities of sexual violence and validate survivors. Claire Curtin was a speaker this year. She spoke out against child abuse while sharing her own story.
For me, I do have a personal experience, so it's something that I really wanted to share. I've never felt comfortable until this year. I feel empowered, and I want to take back my story, and I want it to be my story because that's what it is.
Take Back the Night is an international protest founded in 1976. Protesters, like Curtin, spoke at the rally, which was followed by a march. In the streets of Eugene, the march symbolizes people's safety at night.
It brings light to a subject that's not talked about very often and gives a platform for those people that have dealt with that trauma to get up there and speak about it.
This year's rally focused on the intersection of violence and oppression.
We live, unfortunately, in a community that's a lot more at risk for sexual assault, and so doing this kind of event is really important to keep students reminded of what April means.
Like every year, Take Back the Night supports victims and their experiences. Curtin, like the rest of the protesters, want to bring sexual violence to an end once and for all.
Take Back the Night means kind of exactly what the title is, Take Back the Night, like taking back a part of our lives that is taken away constantly because of the threat of sexual violence, and being able to walk around campus and openly and unashamedly express that we are not okay with violence and that we want to do something about it and that we're going to do better in the future to prevent it.
Thank you, Monica, for sharing the voices and empowering those involved with Take Back the Night. On April 23rd, Eugene residents' phones chimed with notice of an Amber Alert. Former Yakima police officer Elias Huazar who had killed his ex-wife and his teenage girlfriend before kidnapping his 1-year-old child and racing southbound on Interstate 5. When spotted near Harrisburg, 2 patrol cars engaged in a high-speed chase, which resulted in Huazar crashing. Huazar exchanged gunfire with the officers before trying to flee again, resulting in another accident. Huazar took his life, ending the pursuit. The child was unharmed and is safe in police custody.
Lane County History and Museum is honoring the Eugene Friends of Farm Workers with a 40th anniversary exhibit in partnership with the University of Oregon's own Latinx Student Union. Fahim Khan spoke with the union's director.
We have been asked to kind of help talk about the United Farm Workers and a lot of the protests that they've had, such as boycotts against grapes and lettuce. Cesar Chavez was one of the main movement workers or leaders in the movement when it came to boycotts and divestments throughout the 1970s, and so he actually wrote us a letter there. I know that a lot of the work that was done for the protests and everything like that was done based off of a communal support to provide for our families or to just give a voice to our families, and that's what MECHA has been known for. I feel like anytime any sort of exhibit to look back on history within Latin America, or at least history of Latin Americans within a predominantly white state. It's always to kind of help educate people that don't know how it is that a marginalized group was affected and how it is that they shown a base of support to make sure that we can do better and that we have a voice. I think that it's always important to kind of look back on history to see where the mistakes were, so that we can do better as a community today.
This weekend, the 17th annual Eugene Marathon is taking place April 26th through the 28th. For the first time in the marathon's history, it is sold out with over 12,000 runners participating. The increase in capacity comes after the marathon holders expected only a 25% increase in runners from only about 19,000 last year. Participants of the 5K will start at 8 a.m. on Saturday, followed by the runners of the full marathon at 7 a.m. on Sunday.
Tomorrow is the University of Oregon's spring football game, one of the most important dates on the Eugene community calendar. UO students will certainly have tomorrow circled, as the spring game will kick off spring and party season. The spring game follows one of the biggest off-campus parties of the year, and it continues to grow. What last year was in front of just a few townhouses has grown into a block party that spans throughout 14th Street. The party will begin well before the spring game at 1 p.m. and continue well after the game is over.
The spring game also includes veteran appreciation throughout the event. This includes in-game recognition of those who served and an active duty gift exchange with the team after.
Eugene has a lot on his plate and has a lot to look forward to this weekend. Up next, we'll take a look at some larger stories involving more than just Eugene.
She'd carry 2 novels on an airplane because she'd read one on a 3-4 hour ride. And at some point, I began to notice that she would read a page and couldn't remember what she had just read, and she'd have to go back and read it again.
I don't remember much these days after I read, but less does for me, and I love it.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Lane County Sheriff's Office is on the search for a suspect after the death of a woman who succumbed to her injuries. Police are looking for 49-year-old J. John Kelly, whose family member of the woman said was her boyfriend. The suspect has a prior warrant, according to the Lane County records, due to the homicide investigation out of the state of California. Kelly is considered armed and dangerous, and people with information on Kelly's location should call 911 immediately. Rudy Giuliani and Donald Trump's chief of staff, Mark Meadows, and among 18 others who are indicted in Arizona. They have been indicted for their role in an attempt to overturn the 2020 election. The indictment named 2022 U.S. Senate candidate, the former state of party chair, and 2 sitting state lawmakers with 9 counts of conspiracy, fraud, and forgery each. Arizona is the 4th state that has charged former Trump allies for using unfounded claims about voter fraud. Trump was not charged, but named an unindicted co-conspirator.
President Joe Biden has signed a roughly $95 billion aid package to Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. This aid reaffirms U.S. support for Ukraine after months of congressional gridlock put the centerpiece of the White House's foreign policy in jeopardy. Mr. Biden said the foreign aid package would strengthen national security and that it was a good day for America, a good day for Ukraine, and a good day for world peace. The package provides $61 billion in aid to Ukraine, $26 billion to Israel, and $8 billion for the Indo-Pacific.
In addition to the aid package, a potential ban on TikTok was included in the paperwork. TikTok has been the most downloaded app in the United States since the pandemic in 2020, becoming the #1 social media presence as a result. Majority stake in TikTok is owned by Chinese company ByteDance, which has concerned U.S. governing bodies about personal data being accessed by China. The ban will take effect in less than a year unless ByteDance decides to sell their ownership to the U.S. companies.
After weeks of turmoil and uncertainty, the University of Southern California announced it's canceling its main graduating ceremony. The May 10th ceremony's cancellation follows protests across the USC campus over the Israel and Palestine conflict. The controversy began after the university had selected a Muslim valedictorian, Asna Tabassum, who had posted a link on social media to a pro-Palestine organization. The university received complaints from Jewish students and informed Tabassum she would no longer be giving the speech, causing uproar from the student body. School officials stated safety concerns were the reason for the cancellation. We've already covered so many facets surrounding the game, but there's still more coming up. Mario Ponce will tell us about Food for Lane County's largest food drive of the year.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
Julie was always a voracious reader. She'd carry 2 novels on an airplane because she'd read one on a 3-4 hour ride. And at some point, I began to notice that she would read a page and couldn't remember what she had just read, and she'd have to go back and read it again.
I don't remember much these days after I read, but less does for me, and I love it.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. He's here. He's here. Wait. What?
I can't drive.
Why?
My.
Oh.
If you love them enough to suck the snot out of their nose at 4 a.m., then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
I'm an actor in an ad that was given 12 seconds to remind you that if you're high, just don't drive. Because if you feel different, you drive different. It's illegal to drive high everywhere anyway.
And a local nonprofit will be hard at work during the spring football game. Reporter Mario Ponce has more.
This spring game is important because it is one of the largest food collection opportunities of the year.
Every year, the University of Oregon graciously allows us to collect food at the spring game. And so people are encouraged to bring at least 3 cans of food to the game and donate it to Food for Lane County. There's also a financial donation option. If you don't want to carry a bag of food to the game, then we have collection jars there.
In past games, donations were only possible with cash, but this year the organization is also allowing electronic donations.
In addition to the cash donations that they would want to make on site, this year for the first time, they can also donate through Venmo or PayPal. So if you don't want to carry a bag of food to the game, that's an easy way to contribute.
The organization's involvement with the university also extends beyond the spring food drive. Food for Lane County is one of the major suppliers of the Student Food Pantry, which gives students with a UOID free food.
They do get food from us. They can also get donations on their own, but primarily their food comes from Food for Lane County. So we have a great relationship with the university, not only in collecting food from them, but being able to distribute through them as well.
The nonprofit aggregates most food collected in their main facility in Bailey Hill Road, but they also have other locations.
Every year, Food for Lane County handles about 8 million pounds of food
and facilities just like this. Food is sorted after being brought into the facility and is organized into different categories. Non-perishable goods are separated, with canned goods processed and distributed separately from dried goods. The products are aggregated into boxes delivered to food pantries across town. Fresh food and produce is cooked on site, with the meals frozen for distribution or brought to the organization's dining room in 8th Avenue.
If we get large volumes of a particular food, say onions or potatoes or carrots or something, we will process that in our kitchen. So we have volunteers who love to come and chop food, and they'll prepare things.
Products at food pantries supplied by Food for Lane County are available free of charge, and the organization is part of the City of Eugene's resources for people with food insecurity.
They are put into banana boxes and then sent out to our pantry partners, where they will put the food on shelves, and then people can come into the pantry and shop for what their family wants to eat. And then, of course, there's no bill at the end of it.
Reporting for Oregon News, I'm Mario Paulson.
Thank you, Mario. Not only is the UO Spring Football Game an event for food drives, military appreciation, and parties, it's also a chance for Duck fans to get a preview of next year's football team. Coming next.
If you love them enough to suck the snot out of their nose at 4 a.m., then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Comes to making plans, you are the best. Remember the best planned 90 minutes of your life? Or that surprise party for your parents' golden anniversary? You get the golden planning. The same way you plan each detail for those moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make.
Where's your emergency?
Everyone's on their way. What happened? Please get my mom and dad. Oh my God!
Thank you, Joe. Oregon football is back. The Oregon Ducks spring football game will kick off tomorrow at 1 p.m. It's Team Green versus Team White. The game will include Oregon players scrimmaging against their own teammates in front of fans. Although the green and white team rosters haven't been announced yet, the Ducks are deep in multiple positions. Former Oklahoma Sooners quarterback Dillon Gabriel and UCLA transfer Dante Moore are some Ducks to look out for. A new Duck, former Washington Husky cornerback Jabbar Muhammad, discussed his excitement regarding playing Autzen for the first time.
Just been in Autzen Stadium, honestly. I've been practicing with these guys since practice 3, 4, so I'm kind of used to it by now. But I would honestly just say seeing a packed out Autzen Stadium, I haven't seen it. I'm looking forward to it. And like I said, just as a kid, man, you kind of everybody want to come to Oregon. I remember making my Road to Glory players on NCAA, making them come to Oregon, all the different uniforms and stuff like that. So just being in this moment's kind of surreal. So I'm looking forward to being in Autzen Stadium, I say.
Jabbar Muhammad is clearly excited to play in Autzen for the first time. This game will be a great showcase of Oregon talent to let the coaches and fans know more about the Ducks. It will undoubtedly be a packed house at Autzen tomorrow. Now, some breaking news about former standout quarterback Bo Nix. Former Oregon quarterback Bo Nix is officially a Bronco. Yesterday was the first round of the NFL draft. Nix was selected by the Denver Broncos with the 12th overall selection. He was the first Duck off the board. Nix being drafted in the first round continues a long-tenured legacy of talented Oregon quarterbacks who went pro. Last season, Nix threw for an impressive 4,508 yards. He also had 45 touchdowns and just 3 interceptions and was a Heisman finalist. When we return, you'll learn more about an extremely important special duck on the University of Oregon campus who isn't Puddles. Don't go anywhere. Oregon News will be right back after this short break.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Yo, camping buddy. Okay, you guys ready?
Dude, I thought you were driving.
I never said I was driving.
I definitely can't drive.
Okay.
If you're high, just don't drive. It's illegal everywhere. If you feel different, you drive different.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. The same way you plan each detail for those moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
Herbert, Mariota, maybe even D'Anthony Thomas, those are the popular picks, but what do you think?
Well, those are all solid options, Joe. I'm going to have to go with Quactavius.
At the University of Oregon, hundreds of ducks roam the campus every day, each with their own story to tell, intriguing and unique in many ways, while others, well, not so much. None of those stories, however, quite compare to his. That's Quactavius, UO's newest duck. Literally. Quactavius migrated to the Pacific Northwest during the fall of 2023 to join the rest of his flock. Not knowing of the stardom he would soon achieve, Quactavius was just owner Jeremy Jackson's sidekick and emotional support animal.
At the time, I was just going through so much stress, at school. And I'm glad I got him too because, yeah, he kind of, relieved a lot of that stress. People, they'd be like, oh, hey, Jeremy, how are you? Those questions that, I wish, people would ask, they end up asking.
Quactavius soon gained his first opportunity under the spotlight at the Oregon football game versus Colorado this past fall. That's Jeremy in the video, holding up Quactavius in the student section as fans thunderously cheer them on. Since that game, Quactavius has had quite the Hollywood story, from feature stories to media days with the athletic programs and even his own merchandise.
There's not a lot of campuses that could say they have their own mascot as an actual animal walking around, so I definitely say it brings people together to kind of be able to witness that in person.
I didn't want people to get the image of oh yeah, I'm just trying to make this a cash grab. And people just kept asking about it. And I was like, you know what, fine, I give into it, And so I made it.
Jackson says he's had several requests for Quactavius to show up at events, like this weekend's Kids Duck Dash at the Eugene Marathon. For this web-footed, feathered-covered duck, his journey has been unprecedented. If you saw him walking around the University of Oregon campus, you might think he's a native, well, because he's a duck. But his journey didn't start in the PNW. In fact, his journey started 2,000 miles away, on the campus of Mississippi State University as a little yellow duckling.
One day, I think it was the week before spring break, and I told my roommate, I said, Zach, dude, I'm just gonna go get some ducks. And so I went and got a duck, and yeah, here we are, man. That's how it came to fruition, man. To think back to when I first got him and he was a duckling, he was just a yellow duckling, and I was like, it's gonna be my duck, man. Nothing's gonna, crazy gonna happen about this. And, to come out here and for things to go the way they've gone and the support I've given, man, it's just been great, man. I can't ask to be in a better community, man. I couldn't ask for more support, dog. It's just amazing.
Although Quactavius' popularity has skyrocketed, Jackson says Quactavius plays a greater role in the community, a role that helps others and himself included.
A lot of people come up to me and they're like, hey, seeing the duck, you bringing him to campus or whatever they may say, and that helps them, And so for people to take the time to recognize him, recognize me, it just means a lot to me. It lets me know that at least I'm doing something right.
Michael Gonzalez, Oregon News.
We're your hosts, Joe Law Liberte,
Jack MacArthur,
and Caleb McLeod. Have a good rest of your night, guys. See you next week.